So, what role do you believe mental health plays in the lives of immigrants facing racial discriminations, and how can community leaders better address these needs?
What actually inspired me was my daughter's experience. So, my daughter, we moved to Canada and she was very excited about starting school in Canada. But unfortunately, on the first day of school, she experienced anti black racism in the class. The teacher was not responsive. I was disappointed that the teacher told me that there was really nothing she could do about it, and I felt that was being unsupportive.
So, what is the situation right now? And how can we as a community create a more inclusive and safe environment?
Children need to have a sense of belonging in school. They need to feel welcomed. They need to feel like they belong there. And also for adults, I don't want to work in a place where I feel like they don't like me. It's not going to be a safe space for me. So mental health is very, very important.
What is Black History Month and why it is celebrated?
Month that is dedicated to celebrate Black people.
I'm sure this is going to be very beneficial for the newcomers.
I see a lot of newcomers, a lot of immigrants with a lot of education still not stepping forward because they don't have enough self-confidence.
Named one of Canada's top 100 black women to watch, 200 accomplished black Canadian women in 2021 Ontario Premier's Award.
See, I do my work not necessarily looking for this award. My mom also returned to school after having 5 children.
Wow.
With 3.
All right, welcome to another brand new edition of Beyond the Borders with Arjun Season 1, Episode 19 here on CKLU 96.7, your station. You are listening to us 96.7, CKLU.ca, and of course, Radio Player Canada app. One more time, welcome back to Beyond the Borders with Arjun, where we bring you the voices and stories of resilient immigrants who are transforming lives, overcoming challenges, and impacting communities across Canada. Today, I have the honor of introducing an inspiring powerhouse, a true advocate for change, and a beacon of hope for countless women and youth in Canada. I'm talking about Professor Adebola Adefioye. Adebola immigrated to Canada from Nigeria in 2016, starting her Canadian journey humbly as a thrift store worker in Toronto. But her story doesn't end there. It begins with determination and unwavering passion for education and community. She soon took a leap and returned to school, balancing motherhood with her studies as she pursued her diploma in early childhood education. Today, she stands as a professor at Cambrian College, a PhD candidate in policy studies at Toronto Metropolitan University, and a recognized leader in anti-racism and equity work. Also founded the Afro Women and Youth Foundation AWYF to empower black immigrant women and youth to overcome discriminations and lead confidently, a mission spark when her daughter faced racism. The multi-award winner Adebola has won several prestigious awards for her grit and commitment to human service work. Some of the awards include Canada's Top 100 Black Women, 100 Accomplished Black Canadian Women, 2021 Ontario Premier's Award, United Way Greater Toronto Black Leadership Award, Seneca College's Stephen Award, and Adebola's journey from financial barriers in Nigeria to professor and advocate in Canada embodies resilience. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna talk about her journey and story of hope, hard work, and of course, dedication and impact in the community. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So, first of all, I'd like to congratulate you on receiving the honor as 100 Accomplished Black Canadian Women Honoree 2024 and 2024 Community Builder Award from Afro Heritage Association for your outstanding leadership and advocacy. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Also, congratulations on your 5th anniversary of AWYF.
Oh yeah, thanks.
Also, a happy belated birthday.
Thank you so much.
Back to back, eh? You're
Yes.
celebrating back to back. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So first of all, I want to learn some basic words from your Nigerian language. So how do you say
Okay.
hello? How are you? Thank you. Please. Welcome.
Okay, I can only speak for my tribe.
Okay.
I'm Yoruba, and in Yoruba we would say this is evening already, so we would say ekaleo,
Kaleo.
ekaleo,
Ekaleo.
shalafia lewao,
Okay.
shidadalabayo.
Okay.
So that means good evening.
Mhm.
I hope you're doing good, and I hope that I meet you well tonight.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Wow. So if you have to say what is the best thing about Nigeria and Nigerian people, if you have to say in
Uh,
a word,
I would say resilience.
resilience.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Without any further ado, let's begin our conversation with your journey from Nigeria to Canada. You moved to Canada in 2016.
Yes.
So, can you share a little bit about your journey from Nigeria to Canada?
Yes, so my husband had been here for quite some time, and it was just time for me to move with the children, and I moved with my two daughters to join my husband in 2016.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. Okay, so and you begin to working at a thrift store before deciding to return to school. So can you share what inspired you to make that leap, especially with a newborn, and how that decision shaped your career path?
Okay, so I was working in a thrift store, but I was beginning to feel like my education from back home may not be enough for what I wanted to do in Canada in terms of my career goals. I knew I wanted to develop myself. I knew I wanted to be an educator. I knew I wanted to teach in post secondary, and I wasn't sure that the education that I had from back home was going to be enough for me. So I worked in a thrift store for a little, like a short period of time, and I decided to return to school. So, and I started from going to get a diploma, and then I went on to get my undergrad. I went on to take my master's in child and youth care, went on to take a graduate certificate in mental health intervention, and now I'm a PhD student.
Yes, at the same time you are
So,
a professor. So
yes.
I want to take you to Nigeria for some time. You drop out of the University of Edo Ikiti, if I'm not
Oh, yes. How
pronouncing
did you
wrong,
hear about that?
in 2002
Yes.
due to financial difficulties.
Oh, yes.
But you never gave up on your dreams. You
Yeah.
came in Canada, and then in 2017, if I'm
Yeah.
not wrong, after that long gap.
Yes.
Can you please share a
Oh,
little?
yes. I like to talk about that. I'm the fifth child of six, and my father was worked in the bank for many years. My mom was a teacher. We were doing fine, but suddenly my daddy had some issues at work, and then they wanted to recruit young bankers, and they told the senior bankers to resign. So it wasn't time for them to resign, not resign, sorry, it was to retire. So
Okay.
it wasn't time for retirement, but they were forced to retire. So my father went into business and then wanted to go into business, but for some reason he got duped, and it was all the money went down the drain. So we had financial challenges because of that. And all my other siblings were in school, were in the university. So I was also in the university, but I was just like getting started. So and then the financial issues started, and it was just difficult for me to continue, and I just had to put a stop to it. But one thing that did for me was that I went to work. I started working at that time, and I talk about how I drop out, but I think sometimes I miss the part that I was gaining skills, I was attending training, I was building myself, developing skills and attending training and getting some little certifications here and there, the ones that I could do. I wasn't officially in school, but I didn't stop developing myself personally. Yeah, so that was, I think, the personal development was what helped me all through the time that I was out of school. Yeah, out
Yeah,
of formal school, but of course, self development continued.
exactly. I want to listen your experience while working at that thrift store.
Yes.
What was your experience? It was a very
Yeah.
good experience, or it was a bitter experience,
It,
very
it,
hard?
it wasn't bitter. Like, I know that life is in stages. I know that everything that we do is just preparing us for the next level. So I wasn't at the thrift store feeling bad or feeling sorry for myself. I knew it was just a phase. I knew I needed to just, do that to transition to the next level. So I think what was important for me at that time were my goals. So I kept, checking my goals and seeing what I wanted to do. And my husband had been here longer and he understood the system better. So that also helped me to get clarity about what I wanted to do and how I was going to get to where I was going to. So I was at the thrift store. It was okay. It wasn't just where I wanted to remain. So I was there and planning my next steps, planning my future, and doing what I needed to do to get going to the future that I really wanted.
All right, now
Yeah.
you are the team lead at your own named consulting institutions.
Yes.
You are giving a training on topics related to personal growth and development, career
Yeah.
success, gender-based violence, anti-black racism, and so on.
Yes.
As a speaker, as a trainer, as a panelist, as a facilitator. So, can you share a little bit about your these institutions?
Yeah, so Adebola Adefioye Consulting is not a new business. It's just that I think a lot of people know me as a nonprofit leader.
Okay.
So Afro Women and Youth Foundation is like the big thing that people know that I do. But a lot of other people, like people in my professional academic circle, also know that I offer training. I speak at events, and they invite me for those. But Adebola Adefioye Consulting is the platform where I offer paid services. So I'm a speaker, I'm a mentor, I do career coaching, I do non-profit consulting. If you need to learn more about developing programming, learn more about evaluations, or maybe learn more about grant writing, I provide support in those areas, paid services, and I also offer anti-black racism training to individuals, to groups and organizations who need the service. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. You're also the founder and executive director of the Afro Women and Youth Foundation,
Yes.
AWYF, which provides leadership development programs for vulnerable girls and women in Africa as well as in Canada. What inspired you to start this foundation?
Okay, so before I moved to Canada, I had worked in the nonprofit sector for like 8 years.
Wow.
So I came to Canada, knowing social issues, understanding. I have like a good understanding of social issues. I understood what intervention means. I know how to develop programs and all of that. But I didn't come to Canada to really start a nonprofit. What actually inspired me was my daughter's experience. So my daughter, we moved to Canada and she was very excited about starting school in Canada. But unfortunately, on the first day of school, she experienced anti-black racism in the class, and the teacher was not responsive. I was disappointed that the teacher told me that there was really nothing she could do about it, and I felt that was being unsupportive. And my husband and I kept supporting my child. We taught her self-advocacy skills because she needed to speak up for herself. So, and she continued to learn those skills and strategies. And eventually, after about 2 years of struggling and trying to cope and finding ways to cope. I remember she would take jump rope to school to skip and to play by herself at recess because the girls said that she couldn't join them at recess. She couldn't do anything with them in class. And it was just a very, very bad situation. She struggled with her mental health, but because we provided support as parents, she was able to navigate the challenging situation, and she developed coping strategies, and we serve as protective factors. And eventually, after 2 years, she won the award for the most confident child in grade 5.
Wow.
And we thought that was amazing. And I said, okay, if I supported my child to be able to navigate discrimination experience within the school system, I think I could do more in my community. So I started speaking to women who were newcomers to Toronto at that time, because I lived in Toronto at that time, speaking to them and trying to understand how they're doing in terms of settling and in a new country and all that. And many of them told me that they were also experiencing racism, but they're not. They're trying to cope and manage the situation, but their children are also experiencing it. So some of the women were living in the shelter at that time in Toronto, and they said the situation is a little complicated because their children get picked up from the shelter. So the children on the bus knows that, when you live in the shelter, you're having challenges or you're a refugee, newcomer and all that. So that was like a little complicated for them. And I said, okay, I can offer services. I'm available to volunteer my time on some weekends, and I was just going there to the shelter. I started offering free workshops to parents, to the moms, and also to the youth. So I'll do a session in the morning for the youth, and then I'll do another one in the afternoon for the moms. And it was all about, self-advocacy skills and leadership skills. They need to stand up for yourself. They need to speak up for yourself, and helping the women to know how to speak up for themselves and also how to support their children. Because your child cannot be experiencing racism and you stay in denial or you tell them to manage the situation. No, things like that needs to be addressed. So that was my goal at the shelter at that time, and that moved from having conversations about discrimination to them asking for some materials. So they needed things like, when it was winter, they needed winter jackets, and I was a student at Seneca Polytechnic, so I started speaking to my professors and friends on campus if they could donate. So people were donating, and I would move items from the college to the shelter on weekends, and that continued, and we started providing cultural food like home food from our own country. We were serving that to families, and we were just building community, and people were feeling good and very excited, feeling supported, and that was how it continued. And eventually I saw that there was a need to do more, and then we registered as a non-profit organization, and that's why you see the Afro Women and Youth Foundation today, and we're 5 years already.
It's already 5 years.
Yes.
So if you have to tell more about the mission behind this foundation, what
Yeah.
are the missions?
Yeah, so I would say that our goal, our vision is to empower Black immigrant women and youth to resist racism and position for a successful integration and economic advancement in Canada. So racism is one thing that led to this work starting, and we want to continue to empower Black women and youth to know how to resist racism. So what do you do if you're experiencing racism, right? The need for self-advocacy skills, building those skills, leadership, self-advocacy, very important for us. And when you're also navigating discrimination, what do you do for yourself? How do you take care of yourself? And that's why the empowerment programs, our wellness programs are very important, because we want to be sure that people stay safe, right? You cannot be experiencing barriers and discrimination and you're still struggling, struggling with your mental health, not being able to care for yourself, not being able to focus at school or at work because you're being discriminated against. So, and that's why we focus a lot about wellness. So when you see our programs, you see women's wellness and vocational circle, you see craft for mental health, sports for mental health, BIPOC stories for change, and also the youth games nights. These are programs that makes women and youth come together as a community, discuss wellness strategies, coping strategies. How do you take care of yourself? What are you doing to care for yourself as we continue to navigate, some of the challenges that we face as newcomers to Canada? Yeah, so that's what we do at the Afro Women and Youth Foundation.
That's amazing, and it's been already 5 years, and wish
yes.
you all the best for many more years.
Thank you so
ahead.
much.
All right, you are also associated with mental health. So, what role do you believe mental health plays in the lives of immigrants facing racial discriminations, and how can community leaders better address these needs?
Mental health is big, like really, really big. And it also affects how you integrate in a new society or in a new community and in Canada. So if if you're struggling with your mental health, it comes at different levels. Some people can still function, and some people may not be able to function at all in anything that they're doing. When my daughter was going through that negative experience, she could not focus on academics, because there's no way you don't have a sense of belonging and you think you'll be able to cope and be able to listen to your teacher. It's not a safe space for you. So we need to create safe spaces for people. Children need to have a sense of belonging in school. They need to feel welcomed. They need to feel like they belong there. And also for adults, I don't want to work in a place where I feel like they don't like me. it's not going to be a safe space for me. So mental health is very, very important, and we cannot take it for granted. When we're talking about integration, settlement, mental health plays a huge role in that process. Very important. And it can be as simple as, you liking the job that you're doing, or a child liking their school, their teachers, their friends that they have in class. Very, very important, right? So, and how are we also helping people improve on wellness? Very important. There's a lot of strategies that can be used, and you asked about how community leaders can help, right? So maybe, for example, we have a programming at the Afro Women and Youth Foundation that helps newcomer Black women and youth. We need more funding for such programs to continue. That is very important. At this time, we serve over 250 Black women and youth in our programs, in all of our programs. That's huge. That's helping integration and settlement in Sudbury and in Toronto, because we have some programs in Toronto too, right? So we want to be able to continue such programming. So community leaders can help in those ways. They can also help by becoming volunteers to some of those programs. So there are so many ways. Funding is one, volunteering is one. Also, playing their role in their different areas of work with, you work here, right? So how are you supporting people? I know you're a racialized person, but at the same time, the people that you work with, how are they feeling? Do they like working here? Is it a safe space for them? Do they have a sense of belonging? And also representation. What does that look like? Racialized people, immigrant people, are they seeing people who look like them in leadership positions? Those are things we should be looking at, right? And organizations can also look at their hiring practices. What does that look like? Is it diverse? Is it looking at, are you employing, different people and racialized people? Are they seeing themselves in leadership? When I was, thinking and having goals about becoming a professor, I didn't have anyone who taught me in school. When I did my diploma and my undergrad, there was none of my professors who looked like me. And that was like a big deal for me. Like, I wanted to see someone who looked like me in that role, but there was no one in my diploma, in my undergrad, in my grad certificate. There was no one. But when I got into my master's program and I found the first Black professor, I'm like, wow, eventually, right? So, and I want to also be that to other students. I want people to be able to see me as a racialized person who is in that leadership position and get inspired that they can also achieve their goals as immigrants to Canada.
All right, as per the 2020 Statistics Canada survey found 32% of individuals from black communities compared to 24% white counterparts reported to experience symptoms of anxiety, mental health, as per the Mental Health Commission of Canada 2021. Also, according to Mental Health Commission of Canada, several studies have highlighted a link between everyday racial discriminations and mental health problems. Black population across Canada continue to face systematic inequities related to income, food insecurity, and social exclusion. What do you have to say about this?
Yeah, that's statistics and what research is saying, and we cannot deny that, right? But again, sometimes those statistics and research findings and all of that, they can look big sometimes. But again, if we want to look at bringing it down to our community, what are the people saying? The experiences of your friends that are black friends or black people where you work. What are they saying? What are their stories? Are we making effort to hear from them? What are we asking the right questions? Because if you're not asking how they're doing, we would not know if they're struggling with their mental health. We would not know what their needs are. Okay, so that's what we do at the Afro Women and Youth Foundation. We connect with the people. We listen to their stories. We listen to their experiences, and we also work with them to define or to create solutions. How do we move forward? These are the issues that we're finding. So what's the way forward? What's the solution? For example, food insecurity is one big thing that comes up a lot when we talk about some of these disparities and inequities. And right now we have a food bank program, and we now have a cultural food bank program, which means people from the black community can fill a form and tell us the kind of food items that they would like to see in our food bank, and we can try to buy some of those into the food bank so they can come and get that. That also helps in terms of wellness. It helps to give a sense of belonging. It helps to build a sense of community. Again, we're grateful to the city of Sudbury for giving us funding for that program. Wow. So yeah.
So, what's the exact situation right now, if you have to talk about the black community here in Sudbury, or let's say if you have done any research or something like that? So, what is the situation right now here in Ontario?
Okay, in Sudbury, well, I can't speak for all the black community in Sudbury because that's another thing. The black community is also diverse. So
Okay.
when we say black, it's diverse, right?
Okay.
We have currently in our women's wellness program, we have women from Uganda, we have women from Cameroon, we have women from Zimbabwe, we have women from Ghana. So I'm not able to speak for everyone, and I'm a researcher, but I'm just starting my research in Northern Ontario. I'm looking at Sudbury, I'm looking at North Bay and Thunder Bay.
Okay.
So I would not be able to give you like, oh, this is what the situation is. But what I know is that we have programs that are supportive. We have programs that are creating safe spaces. We have the Afro Women and Youth Foundation. We have the Afro Heritage. We have NOBIB. We have the Thriving African Families that just started. We have so many other programs like that. We have the Queenie's Toy Library that also just started. And all these organizations are providing support for black communities and for people experiencing different challenges and different barriers, right? So again, the support is growing, but we can still do more. It can get better by the day.
From
Okay.
being named one of Canada's top 100 black women to watch to 100 accomplished black Canadian women in 2021 Ontario Premier's Awards, your list of achievement is impressive. What does receiving these honors mean to you, and how do they fuel your advocacy?
Honestly, I do my work not necessarily looking for these awards. Like I said, I've been doing community work for many years before I moved to Canada, and it just gives me a great joy and a sense of fulfillment. I feel like it's a calling for me. That's why I'm alive, why I'm here today. So, but when I get the awards, I feel great. I feel inspired to do more. And I think that, like my children would say, "Oh, you're a big person." Like, see, like, because they check online and they see my name and all that, and they're like, "Oh, mom, you're so big." And it's good. And I think in summary, I'll just say that it gets me inspired to be able to continue the work that I do.
If you have to remember your first award that you received, what was your experience? Could you please share that moment with us? The first award you received here in Canada.
Okay, I think it was the United Way Greater Toronto Black Leadership Award, and I think that was 2020 thereabout. It just again made me feel very good, proud of my work because at that time there was no office space, there was no staff. It was all me, supporting people. Like I would go to Seneca and grab, winter jacket and boots and move things to the shelter. It was just me doing a thing that I was passionate about. So having someone nominate me for that award was really very emotional for me. I felt appreciated. It was a great honor. I felt very good about it. I remember putting it close to my bedside and telling my husband, this is for me, right? So yeah, it was a thing of joy. Yeah.
All right, you just take your husband's, part. So,
Yeah.
can you share how your husband's unwavering support has influenced your journey and your pursuit of excellence, both personally and professionally?
Okay. My husband is a quiet person, but again, is very supportive. So, like people ask me how I balance work and family, being a mom of three, a wife I work and do so many things by the side, and I tell them it's because I have a very supportive husband. Like I've been in school all my years in Canada, because I told you all the programs I've taken, like I've been a full time student. It's only this year that I'm not in school like full time, but since I moved to Canada in 2016, up until last year, I've been a full time student in school. So, and the only reason I could do that is because I have a husband who also works full time and studies part time because he's also a student, also studies part time, but very supportive, helps with the children and supports the family in every way possible. Yeah, and that has helped me a lot to be able to continue thriving in all the things that I love to do. He's also a nonprofit leader because when back home in Nigeria, he had a nonprofit work that he was doing, and he was a leader, and that also helped me because I worked with him for a few years before we eventually got married. So that's
Exactly.
also
And how
helpful.
can you forget your mother? You have somewhere written, sees your inspirations
Yes.
for this all these journeys. So
Yes.
if you have to remember, if you have to say anything about your mom,
Yeah, my mom is a great inspiration because my mom also returned to school after having 5 children.
wow.
So she went back to school to get a teacher's certificate, and went to she had to start working at that time, and I saw how she juggled family life and her career, and she did that for many years. Now she's retired, she's doing well, but again, that just continues to be a great source of inspiration for me because if my mom could do it with 5 children, then I should be able to do it with three. Yes.
You are the team lead at Adebola Adefioye Consulting. I have a question for you. I'm sure many of our listeners is listening to us. As a certified personal development coach with the John Maxwell Leadership Company, what are some key principles or strategies you believe are essential for personal growth and resilience?
So for personal growth and resilience, I feel like I think it's first I would say self-awareness because you first need to know where you're at. You need to know your needs. You need to know your strength and your weaknesses. You also need to know where you want to go, your goals. Where do you want to go, and what do you need to take you there, right? You also need to understand support systems. What does that look like for you? Who's helping you on your journey, right? You need to also know protective factors. So, who's helping you on your journey? Who would continue to be there for you as your support system? Again, all this sounds like easy things or easy steps when I talk about self awareness, when I'm talking about clarity of goals, support systems. They sound like easy things, but sometimes people need help to identify these things, right? And that's where I can come in for people if they think that they need support in that area. Some people may be able to identify all of those. Some may need some help identifying all of those. And I also think that mentorship plays a very big role in personal development. So, who is your mentor? You want to achieve this? Who has achieved that excellently? Who are you looking up to? And are you able to get some support from them on your journey? And what can that look like? Is it going to be a one-time session of 30 minutes? Is it going to be a relationship that you continue to build and invest in? So again, people need to know what it is they need and how to get, to get support. Yeah.
All right. You are also actively involved in anti racism and equity work as well
Yeah.
as addressing gender based violence.
Yes.
So, what unique challenges have you encountered in these areas, and how can we as a community create a more inclusive and safe environment?
So what we found, what researchers found, and what we're also finding in our work at the Afro Women and Youth Foundation in the community, is that in the immigrant community, gender-based violence is happening, but it's being covered. So people are not seeking for help for so many different reasons. Some because there's somebody threatening them about their immigration status, saying if you report this, you're not getting your PR, or you're going to get sent back to your home country. Different for different reasons. It's happening, but it's been covered. So again, I think we just need to keep letting people know that there's support available. So at the Afro Women and Youth Foundation, in all of our programs, we let people know if you need to speak to somebody, you need any support, we are more than happy to help you. We're not just saying that we can help, or we are trained to help. So we're trained. We have someone who's trained from trained with Costi to be able to help anyone experiencing gender-based violence in the immigrant community. Again, apart from being able to provide support. We can also do referrals. We have the YWCA, we have other community and other community organizations and other agencies providing support. So we also do referrals. The most important thing for us is that we want people to be safe. We want women to be safe. Violence against women is not acceptable, and I think letting people know that we're creating safe spaces for people is just the first thing. Letting people know that you can trust me. I can be of help no matter what the situation is. And I think that's very, very important. So as a community, we all need to look out for one another. Is somebody struggling that you know? Is there somebody that you think is looking like they're going through difficulties, and you just want to ask how they're doing? That can go a long way.
In addition to this, every February people across Canada participate in Black History Month. What is Black History Month and why it is celebrated? If you have to say in one sentence.
Yeah, it's just I think it's just a month that is dedicated to celebrate Black people.
Whole month, right? Not a single
No,
day.
no, no. It's
Whole
the
month.
entire month. But what I say is that it's done in the month of February. But again, Black people should be celebrated like throughout every day, not just in the month of February. And that's why we continue the work that we're doing at the Afro Women and Youth Foundation. Like it's done all year round, right? And everyone should also be thinking from that perspective. Whatever you're doing in the month of February, like how does it continue? How do you sustain the work that you do? Does it end at the month of February, or is it a sustainable work that you can continue to do to empower the Black community or to support the Black community? What does allyship look like? Is it performative? Is it just for the month of February, but is it something that continues, right? So again, we need to rethink allyship when we're talking about the Black History Month, because everybody jumps on the train when it's Black History Month, but what are we doing after Black History Month?
True.
What does our values look like? How are we tackling our biases, right? Stereotypes. What does that look like? We need to be reflecting about those things, on a daily basis, not only during Black History Month.
Almost at the end, lots many things to be discussed, but we don't have much time. I'm sure this is going to be very beneficial for the newcomers. So what would you advise newcomers or those who might be restarting their careers in Canada, especially those who may not have extensive resources but want to advance professionally and make an impact?
I think first I would say people need to believe in themselves.
True.
Immigrants, we need to believe in ourselves. I tell a lot of women that I work with that I didn't come to Canada with a lot of education. I had a lot of training. I had a lot of work experience. I was in leadership roles in the places that I worked in Nigeria before I moved to Canada. But I did not have a lot of education in terms of undergrad and masters and all of that. No. But I would still show up, with the knowledge that I have, because I believe that I have something to bring to the table. I see a lot of newcomers, a lot of immigrants with a lot of education still not stepping forward because they don't have enough self-confidence. So I think that's where we start from. You first need to believe in yourself. You have something. I know Canada talks a lot about Canadian experience, but whatever experience you have from back home is something. It is valid and it is also important. It's called transferable skills. So what can you transfer? What do you know from back home that is needed in Canada that you can continue to use, right? So again, I think the first place to start confronting these issues is that self-belief. You need to believe in yourself. And after believing in yourself, you need to find a mentor or a support system, somebody that, also believes in you and that will continue to encourage you, right? That is very, very important. Yeah.
Exactly. The first thing is believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself, yes.
Almost at the end.
Hard work is also
Hard
important.
work.
You have to be ready to do the work.
Patience.
Yes, absolutely. Patience. Like you have to be ready to do it. It's not very it depends on your goals. Like we have different goals. I've got big goals, so I work very hard. And that is very important. So maybe some immigrants could have maybe small goals. Maybe they don't need to do a lot of work. But if you've got big goals, then you need to work big.
Very hard. Very hard.
Oh, yes.
Almost at the end, what are your hopes and future plans for the Afro Women and Youth Foundation, and how can individuals and organizations contribute to this vision?
Okay, so at this time, we just want to strengthen the work that we're doing. we really want to strengthen the work that we're doing. So, and that looks like having more people work at the Afro Women and Youth Foundation, and that means more funding is needed. The space that we're using is becoming small, so we see a need for for expansion. We don't know what that will look like, but again, we're just hopeful that we get more funding to be able to do the work that we're doing. So, in terms of how community members can help, we're always accepting volunteers. People can volunteer with us at the Afro Women and Youth Foundation. They can donate. I just said that we have a food bank program. They can donate non-perishable food items. We have a clothing bank. We're always accepting clothing items donation. It's winter. We need winter jacket, winter boots. All of those items will go a long way for the newcomer families. And then we need funding. So people can also donate to us and follow us on social media. We're very active on social media. We're on LinkedIn, on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. So
Everywhere.
everywhere. So find us on Instagram, follow us, support the work that we're doing, and that would put a smile on our face.
Yes, that definitely put a smile on everybody's face. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for joining us. It's an honor having you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a wonderful time.
Thank you so much, and you have a wonderful, wonderful years ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much.